Morning, guys. Hey, it's David R. Becker here with BeckerArt, and I'm on a hike this morning, and I decided to stop and paint something. And so a little plein air here in McHenry. I'm in McHenry at the dam, and so I'm going to show you again. I want to kind of go over the greens, and so let's take a look to see if I can't do the greens. And how do I switch this over now? Let's see. Hold on. How do I turn it around? Here we go. There we go. So here's the shot I'm painting. As you can see, I've done the river, and here's the trail I'm on. And there we got some walkers, and this is the scene I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be painting it again using a lot of greens, and I guess I can get a little closer. And what I'm going to do is I already figured out my value study, and I don't have it. I have it in my head. And the background, if you look back here, the background back there will be not quite as dark. I'm going to let it go into the distance, way in the distance back there. I'm just going to let it go. This is my dark. So all the land is going to be my darks, basically, and the water and the sky are going to be my lights. And so that's my very simple value pattern. And so let's just get going here. And so what I'm going to do is I will start with the lights, and that it is an overcast day today. The sun is shining through it a little bit, but let me get some paper towels. Get some paper towel here. I may be interrupted once in a while because this is a path, and so they'll be probably stopping and saying hi. And so here again is the lights again, like all the land and all this land, and I'm not sure if you can see that from that distance, but all the land will be my darks. And right now I'm going to try to do some lights, and I'm working on a board again. I'm working on the hard board, which I applied a gesso ground to, absorbent ground gesso, I think that's what they call it. And so I'm just going to go in here and just put a little bit of color, a little bit of blue into this. And again, I'm not going to worry about going into the dark areas because of my land, and all my land and the land and the items that are all, the greens, and that are all going to be my darks. So I'm just looking for my lights right now, and that is the water. That's going to be the water is going to be my light. That's reflecting in here, and there are a bunch of cranes and ducks I've been seeing going around, and so that's right there too. So I'm going to go in here, just kind of do my water. I'm just putting coloring for my water. I'm using ultramarine blue here right now. And then we're going to go right across. These are the parts, even though it's green, I'm going to go right across it. And then down here we have some lily pads, and so I'm just going to leave them alone, go around them. And so we're going to go through here. And I can actually put in some of the reflections if I want. I'll do that after I get the land in so that I know what I'm doing. And so we're putting in the land after, or the greens afterwards. So we start with our lights. So we'll put this down through here, and there's a little bit of light. This board accepts the watercolor really coolly, and the fact that it just sits on top and goes in a little bit into the board, which is pretty cool. Again, always start out with your lights. Just let a runner go by. And again, I'm out at this is the Fox River, and it's at the McHenry Dam. And so that's where I'm at today. And so now we're going to put in some of my light greens. And my light green being that I'm going to use a lot of yellow in it and a little bit of white. So these little plants right here are going to be dark against the light, but I want to put a little bit of the, like in the lily pads here, I'm just going to put in a little bit of the light green. And it is an overcast day today, so I don't have much sunlight, and the fact that I'm not going to have shadows. And so shadows will not be a part of this, as so much as, oh look at there comes a crane. He's going to come out there in another second. And so all these plants over here are nice and green, light green. So I'll do that right away. So we'll put this in here like this. Put some light green in there. And I'm working the foreground, you know, which is kind of usually weird for me to do the foreground, but it's part of the light area. And the background here I'm gonna make grayer, but I'm just trying to get in the really bright greens right now. This is gonna be a bright green, and I've only got color to work with. I don't have like sunlight to throw shadows to make my darks and lights. So basically the land again is the dark, and everything else, the water and the sky, is my light. And so I'm just gonna stick with that. That's all you have to really remember, is that in your value study, is that what's the dark and what's the light, what's the big dark and what's the big light. And if you're watching, thanks for watching. I have to go behind the camera to see, because this time I'm not doing it in reverse. Last weekend I was doing it in reverse, and so I wanted to do it in the right way this time. Alright, so now let's go to the background, and let's get our background sky in there, our background trees in there. And so I'm going to go with a green, but I'm going to go with a very bluish green and a gray. So you start out here light. I'm just going to do this in the background. And as I go to the left, I'm going to get more and more dark, and I'm also going to get more and more color in there, a little bit more greens. So I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the greens. You know, I'm not a big fan of green, but since I'm out here and I want to paint what is out here, so you have to kind of learn how to like the greens a little bit. Here I got a little purple. I gotta fill up some of my blues here. I just noticed I'll be heading out on Tuesday to up north. So I better make sure I have enough pigment, enough paints to take with and paint up there. So here there's a little house right here, and actually you can see a bunch of little homes back there. And so see how I went from a light, and I'm going this way, I'm going to a dark, and right where these trees are, the trees in the foreground, they're gonna be a lot lighter green, so I don't have to worry about. There's a house right back here, and while I have this here, I might as well put it right into the water. There's a little bit now. It's not shining as much as before, but I'm doing, when you are working outside, you go with what you have at the time that you're drawing it, and then you take a picture and make sure that you stick with that value pattern. Like there's this light coming from back here, and so I've got to stick with that. I can't change it just as it goes along, because then I ruin the whole concept of what I had for the value studies. And so there's a light coming through here, and then this is dark. So we're going to go through here and keep this part back here is the same as up on top here. So that has a little bit more light. It's a little bit lighter. And then this will go a little bit darker over here. And this I tend to think as a sketch also. Again, I'm not doing a really super finished painting. I'm just getting out here, getting a quick rendition of what I see. And then when I go back to my studio, then I can go and get really deep in and look at the photograph and remember some of the stuff that I did, and then do another that's a little bit more detailed, a little bit more finished, and also probably bigger. So here again, I'm going to put this in there. Boy, you hear all the birds out there? It's amazing, all the birds. And if you look right over here, let me just show you, there's a crane watching me right at the moment. See him right there? I don't know if you can see him. He's right there. He's just slowly walking by. He's wondering what I'm doing. Let's go back down here. Yeah, he's just watching. He's just watching me. I should take a shot of him. And now I'm going to go with my light greens. This is farther forward. So we're going to go in here and just get some lighter greens. And again, when I use my lighter greens, I use a little white in it and a little bit of yellow. Pretty yellow green, like a lime green, permanent green light, which I don't have, but I'm just mixing it with white and yellow and light blue. And I'm just gonna, I'm not doing each individual leaf, of course not, I can't do that. Later on, when I do some of the details, I may put in some of that in there. I may put a little bit of the opaque little dots of leaves. But right now, it's just the big stuff. I always go with the big stuff first. And here, this is the background. Now I'm working upright, so things come down, and it's an overcast, so I don't have to worry about an umbrella today. And I'm not working in the sun, so it's really nice and bright, and this is nice. I do like working in the sun, though, to get the shadows, but this will do. I mean, this is nice. And so this little building back there is just going to be a dark brownish green. You don't want to switch it too much so that it sticks out too much. This whole area here will be my center of interest, right? All this right here is my center of interest. I like to call it area of interest again because it's more of an area than an object.
Looks awesome.
Thanks. Some bikers just went by. I decided not to bike this weekend, but just to take a hike and do more of a hike and a run this afternoon instead of biking. My butt probably still hurts from last week. Carrying this big, I carried this big backpack. And last week that was, whoa, that was heavy with all my supplies in it. So this week I decided just to walk it. So walking the trail here. And so I did put a little color back here because I wanted to even have more color in the foreground. And now let's just my work on this little island. This is basically an island right here, and this has some greens in there. So that's in the foreground. So I have to make this look like this is farther forward than what's back there. There was a boat right now. And so over here now we're going to take the same value as that, the green. Kind of take a bluish green. And what I'm going to do is kind of make it not too vibrant a green. These are just trees in the distance. And this tree I'm kind of making a little bit more detailed at first. And then I'm going to get the branches in here, the trunks and the branches. And this is a little bit darker, and then in front of that will be, oh, there goes the crane, he's flying. Boy, I would have had a camera on him right now. He's just flying across the top of the water. They look so prehistoric, these cranes, or herons, or whatever they are, egrets. And so I'm going in there. And if you are chatting, chat away, I'll look at it later. I can't see it because it's behind me. And I gotta get this done. So here we're going to do a little bit of this. Gotta put this in here. There's a little dock right here. So I'm just going to put a dock. We're going to have some kayakers now going by. So the shoreline is usually darker. I'm not putting these boats in there. I just find that to be a little bit too much. And then we're going to go with the light green. So I'm working forward, basically, is what I'm doing. I'm working forward. And I just noticed I missed a little bit of this tree here, so I'm going to put a little tree right in there. I put that down here into the water. And so I'm just going to put that back in there. Go right down into here, reflect it into the water. And put a little tree right there, reflect that into the water. Now we're going to get the green over on this side, which is a little bit brighter green. Kind of working my small brush. I'm not quite sure why I'm working with a small brush at the moment, but it works. So there we have that part. And then on the bottom of that, usually by the bottom of the trees, they end up being a little bit darker down here. And so we're gonna put a little dark underneath here. And that's maybe a little bit too brown right there, so I'm going to dull it down with a little bit of blue and actually wipe some of it out, and then just put some blue on top of that. So it's a little bit too dark. That was a little bit too dark right there. And then right away I'm going to go right into the reflections in the water. And so since you have those colors right up above, just float them down below. And you've been using it on top, so now I'm just going to make these little Z's. And then just use those colors that you just used, and there's the reflection in the water. And there's a slight breeze, so you're going to get a little ripples. It's not like mirror-like, and that you don't want anyways. You don't want a mirror-like image on it. You want it to be a little rippled. It looks better with little ripples. And ripples are usually just little lines, you know, like little Z's. I take my flat brushes and I go across like that, and then you emulate what's above it. So there's that blue that I had right there, so just take that blue again and just throw it down there so it just repeats itself. A little bit of the orange I had there. And now it's running down because I'm working vertically, so that's okay. Just go with it. I could work it flatter, but then you guys wouldn't see anything, so we're gonna have to do it this way. Now the land over here is a little bit of orange and browns, a little bit red, so I'm going to up it a little bit more than it is, because that way it comes forward a little bit. We can dull it down with a little bit of violet in there. A little bit brown, and there's this is the shoreline back here of this little island. And back here it gets a little dark too. Get some green in there. And I like that my palette is kind of go down now. I just realized that I always like it down a little bit, because then all the water runs into the edges of the palette, and so I don't have it like swimming all throughout the entire palette, which is kind of cool. I never even realized that I was doing that, and I didn't do that for a reason. I accidentally happened. Let's get some more green in. There's the reflection down here in the water. Put that in there now. See how it's getting more contrasty as I come forward too? And as I go into this green over here, I kind of negative paint this green. Like there's leaves in here, I negative paint them. Now let's get some more brighter green up on top here. This is bright green leaves. I'm just going to put that in there, and then I'll manipulate that green later and show what it is with negative painting. Bring them, I'm just looking at what you guys are writing. Bring them on camera. Bring who on camera? Bring them on camera. Who do you want to see on camera, guys? So now we're going to go, and we're going to get these little greens over here. Come down here. Negative paint a little bit here. And then behind there's some water too, so if I take some of this and make it look like it's on the back here, that'll kind of look like it's from the distance. So we'll put that in there like that. And then we'll get some actually had some people come by and they didn't say anything. Good, that was kind of nice of them not to interrupt me. Normally you have to talk to people when they go by. And so now I've got pretty much all my lights and my medium darks, and so now I'm going to go in there with my dark darks and my big darks. And so I'm going to start looking for the bigger darks, and so that looks like it's pushed back. Oh wait, let's see. Bring them on camera, it keeps on saying. What do you guys want on camera? I'm not sure what you guys are wanting on camera. So here's the scene again. And so here's what we're painting. And so now we're going to go in and do our darks. We're going to do our darks, and so I pick out the dark greens. So I pick up the dark greens now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it.
Nicely done.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Love it.
So now we do the darks, and that means like some of the, see these tree branches and stuff sticking back here. I'm just going to go in there and just start popping them in. Put a little bit of orange on them. And they're broken up with the leaves in front of it, so I'm just going to, put the leaves here and there. And I will probably put in some of the leaves opaquely. And then right away, underneath here, we're going to get some darks. And actually some of these leaves also can be dark. So right away, I'm going with my dark greens. And if you notice, they're very gray. I'm keeping things gray because that's the way they are out here. And especially on a gray day, because really we don't have the sun shining through the clouds. We do have clouds, very thin clouds, so it's kind of bright. It's very bright out here. But it is not sunlight where you're getting direct sunlight on things, which actually kind of makes it better sometimes. It's almost more fun doing it this way because it's not so hot and you don't have to worry about the sun being on your palette. So that's all good. Make this a little bit dark. Kind of going around and just putting in leaves. And there's a lot of different ways of getting texture for leaves, and I just like tapping my brush like this, and to me that's basically the easiest way of doing it. And now bring that into the water. Get some more green going on here. So mostly Sunday morning, I'm watching Sunday morning on thing, but I decided this morning that I'm going to skip it and just get out here and do some painting because it just felt right this morning. And I can always watch that episode later on. Listen to those frogs and herons, and every once in a while you hear them. It's like roar, roar, roar. So now this is like nice little leaves and stuff, and so I'm going to put little leaves in here. And like I said, I will be putting in some opaque leaves, only because it really works really well putting in opaque leaves. And so these are just going to be my dark ones. See, to get these leaves to work out, because the light leaves are all there now, and so you've got to take the dark and go around them. And that's a little bit harder sometimes than you think, so that's how it comes. Sometimes I go back in with opaques and get those happening with opaques. And there's nothing wrong with getting opaque colors in your work, just don't worry about that. So we'll go down in here. This tree to look like a tree. And out in the sky here, it'll start being darker than the sky, so you make that darker. I'm just tapping my brush to get the look of leaves against the darker sky, leaving some of that light. And I like to keep things out of focus, and how do you do that? You just wet it and let it run, let it float. You know, my big thing, float your pigment. So that's cool to do. For branches, I kind of like to use the what you call it brush, the rigger brush, and so just real light little lines. And it also makes little dots and stuff, which is really cool. So you just flick it here and there, you can make some really cool little things. And I also like to look at it in the camera once in a while, so I'll look back here, and that shows me the big areas of light and dark. Morning, guys. Morning, everybody who's watching. And so now we're going to go in here and just get a little bit darker dark right around here. Just where the shoreline hits the water usually ends up being really dark right there. But this is more of a beach right there, and so it kind of goes into a light, and then it goes the dark shadow, or the reflection is darker than the land, and so it's a little bit different than because it's like a beach type of thing where it goes lighter and it goes to a dark reflection. I do like this board because I can rub out. You know, it's, again, it looks like you're doing an oil painting because I've got texture on it, like the brush strokes of gesso that I put on there. Now I'm gonna, oh, that must be something else. I thought I heard some thunder. We don't want that out here. I'm gonna have to pack up really quick then. Put a little bit of that in here. Little branches. So what I'm gonna do here is put branches and then put some more dark leaves in there. So that's pretty much the background. I'm going to keep it at that for now, and then I'm going to go back into it probably later with some lights. But now let's get your foreground going here. So what I can do is I'm going to start with this main plant right here. This plant right here is like really going to come forward. And so what I want to do is have some really bright green there. I want to really make a bright green there only because I need it to come forward. And so I'm going to make these little leaves, and it's going to be a brighter yellow green, which is fine. I mean, it is actually in real life here, it is a little bit brighter. And so I usually put in the stem, and then it's darker than the water, and so that's all I have to think about, is making it darker than the water. And parts of it is really dark. Like if you look, there's parts that are really dark, so I like to put in the stem first. And then I'll put the leaves onto the stem. And this is only when you're doing like detailed leaves and stems and stuff. If you're doing where you're like this background, that's too far in the back to sit there and do really detailed things for it. You know, you can do a little tapping like that, but keep it soft back there. And now these are a little bit more important, so yes, sit there and try to make them look really important by making them detailed. And the color will pop them forward, so give it some more color. And if you know how to handle your brush right, you can like push the brush and do in one brush stroke. They used to have that thing called one brush stroke, I think, or something like that, where you try to make leaves and things with one brush stroke. That's very helpful if you can do the leaves in a brush stroke, like thick to thin. And then some small ones, some big ones. Remember too, don't make them all the same. I notice a lot of people when they do this, they tend to make things where it's all the same leaf. They go over and over again. We'll try to differ it a little bit, up a little bit. And if you can, you know, if you can copy what you see out there, that's the best. So it's not bad to take and try to do what you see. But with leaves like this, you can't do every individual one because it would take you like a year to do that. And you know, a few minutes here. Morning. So
you left the boats out?
Yeah, they're coming in. So we're gonna make this a little bit darker here. See, there's dark and light ones, and so you put the dark ones together, like there's no light on them. And then maybe in the back a little bit farther. And then you take the light ones. So put this, and see how I'm taking a little bit more time on these because it is more important. I mean, this is the center of interest, and so I want to make it look really, really detailed in a way right here. So I'm going to take some time on this part. And then we got another plant right here. And again, these can be a little bit, again, they can be more important, so don't be afraid of making them a little bit.
On the way by.
The one guy asked me if I did not going to put the boats in. I'm going to put hints of the boats in there. I guess I can do that later. There's a big boating community around here, so you probably should put the boats in. And so here we got the lily pads and down on the bottom here, down this hill a little bit. I'm on a little bit of a ledge right here, and so I'm going to put these in there. The lily pads just swimming around in there. And they do have some darks in there. And there's also some grasses down here, so I can just lightly put some grasses in there. And then the land itself is kind of dark down here, so that'll be kind of a dark. And then there is a lot of dark and reflecting in these. Some of these lily pads are reflecting really dark. And so then you can do that into the water, like a little reflection into the water. If there's a stem, you can do like real dark there. A little bit of orange. Remember I said with your greens, put a lot of orange in your greens, especially on a day like this today. It makes it pops it a little bit, and I'm gonna run a couple of them off the page here. I should put one of the cranes right in there, but he's gone away. I'm not sure where he went. Morning.
Nice work. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're gonna go here again. Put some darks to push things forward and push things back and forward. Usually behind the bright yellows are the really dark colors that you can put in there. Because there's always, to make the darks come forward or make the lights come forward, you put darks behind them. And again, I can work this little bit area a little bit more detailed because that's my center of interest. Oh, good morning. Oh, no problem.
Are you streaming?
Yeah.
On what, TikTok or?
On Facebook. Just,
I love it. You're incredible.
beautiful.
What a talent.
thank you.
Damn. That's gorgeous. It's all watercolor?
Yep.
Is it hard to work with this medium?
No, it's just learning how to do it.
Like adding water and...
Yep. It's actually very simple because you don't have all the oils are messy,
Right.
and you need all the turpentine and all that stuff. So watercolor is just water and pigment.
Fox looks better on your canvas.
Totally. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.
What's your Facebook page?
BeckerArt.
BeckerArt?
David R. Becker. Yep.
I'll follow you today.
All right. And so now we're gonna get, and I have to make this area right here. I gotta figure that out. I'm looking at my camera here, and I'm noticing that it's kind of like triangle. See this triangle we got going right here? We can't have that. And so we're gonna have to kind of get rid of that triangle. And so I'm gonna put more water here. So what I'll do is I'll try to make more water.
Very nice.
Thank you. So we'll put this like here. Getting a little bit more crowded now here in the McHenry. And so what I'd see, I got rid of the triangle now. And then I can actually put some of this lighter yellow there. And we're almost done. We're gonna make some. We're gonna scumble some pigment down here, just to get a little bit more texture down here. I don't want to do too much where I'm gonna have you go look over there really intensely, but just enough so that it won't be a triangle. I need to get rid of that triangle effect down here. Listen to that frog. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but boy, he's loud. I think, see one more thing. All right, let's see. I think we're just gonna lose the edges down here and just see if I can't get some kind of neat, a neat effect. You know, a lot of times it's the effect you can get by spattering maybe. And just let it be like that. Get some more color down here maybe. A lot of times let the watercolor do its own thing. You don't need to always do everything. If you wet it and let the watercolor bleed, that's always a good way of doing it. So see how I'm just letting, I'm going to spatter a little bit more. Spattering is always a nice thing to do. Watching your spatter on the top part there. Maybe a little darks in there. Press it down a little bit. Now I'm going to go in with some opaques. And so I'm going to take my small round brush or my small flat brush, and I'm going to start making some opaque. I'm going to go with some opaque yellows, some really bright yellowy green. Over here, I'm just going to take some bright white yellows and greens. Morning.
Morning. So pretty. Come on, Sadie. Let's go. Come on.
So see, now I'm putting white with yellow and a little bit of green, and those are opaque. And this is more gouache-like, but then it really sticks out really much better too. And you can just go in there, and again, don't worry about if people say this is not, you know, it's the way to do it, watercolor. You can do it because it's a mixture of opaque watercolor and regular watercolor. So I'm just putting in some of my light leaves. It just gives it a little bit of a texture of leaves, and it makes it a little bit brighter. And then I've got to make this part stick out, and so either lighten the background and leave this dark, or the other way around. But I'm going to lighten the background around these a little bit. That way I'm negative painting in a way these leaves right here. I can make them grasses or whatever. I just have to make something jump forward and something stand back, and so that's one way of doing it. Put a few more lines in here, a little bit more leaves. And then in the front here, I'm going to do the same thing. And then we're almost done. We're just going to go in here and get some nice light, bright leaves that are sticking out in front. Maybe I'll put some darks behind them too. Put some of my lily pads down here. So again, where's my pattern? I gotta always remember my pattern. My pattern is the dark of the land, and I'm a little bit higher key than I usually paint, so the land is not quite as dark as I probably should have made it. You know, if you wanted to make it look like it is out here right now, it would have been better to make some things a little bit darker. But there are times I like to try to do high key paintings, and high key painting is where you're letting the paint not get past like a number, let's say a 7. You know, you don't go to a 10, which is black. You kind of just take it to a 7 and then leave it as that's your darkest dark. And so you can do that. I mean, it's okay to do that. And just kind of look in the camera again to see how that looks. I think I need a little bit more of the yellow, green, white in this area, and then we're probably going to call it quits, guys. So there. I did a little bit of a thing there. How about a little bit of... Oh, I said I was going to put in some boats, wasn't I? Or little piers right here. So I'll put a pier, and you just put little light rectangles, and that'll look like boats. You know, you basically, you're not drawing in a boat, you're just going to put in like shapes that represent like that. Yeah, that maybe is going to be a boat. And then you can bring that down here. Bring a little bit of white. See, I'm putting a little white opaque in there just to show a little reflection. Same thing down here. Some of that reflection come into the light part. One more thing. I keep on saying one more thing, right? Alright, I think we're going to take one more look at my camera and see how it looks. And then we'll call it a day, I think. I think that's okay. We got this. Let me think. You guys see anything that needs changing? Let's see. Thanks, Sonia, for liking it lighter. Hey, Carol. I think something about this area I still don't like that much. I think I got to get it darker through here. Bring it around. Maybe just get a little bit thing so it doesn't... I got to bring this forward and let that push back. Maybe this has to be some of that color in there, reflecting. All right, so I think that's it, guys. If you see anything, let me know. This, I think, is it for this Sunday's version of painting outside. So let me just show you. So there's the scene. Again, the lights of this part of the light, and you know, I still think this part over on the left has to be darker. I think I'm gonna keep it the way it is. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching again. Thanks for watching another Sunday morning on my hike. And now I have to do another 3 miles to get back. So, actually, no, I don't think it's 3 miles, but. And with this big heavy backpack, see all my supplies and my thing I've put in a backpack, and so I'll be running back that way. All right, and so we'll talk to you on, get my newsletter on Tuesday, and we'll see you then. All right, later, guys. Bye-bye.